Okay, welcome. We are now starting this Unconference, which is part of the Metaforma Studies program of the Metabolic Project. The conference is going to be in English. La conferencia será en español, en inglés, para aquellos de vosotros que... ¿Alguien tiene problemas con esta cuestión? ¿No? So, this is part of the International Metabolic Forum Madrid 2015, and well, the Unconference has quite an informal format, which I will comment on with my colleague Eva now, so that you are invited to propose topics for the debates in the numerous moments of interaction that we propose. Interaction, which is the topic of this project, is a concept proposed by Karen Baran, who is the keynote speaker of this conference. I have to send to all of you her deepest apologies. She has had a very serious medical problem, and more recently than a death in her family for her father, which means that she has been able to come. She extremely apologizes for this, and we also do apologize for this inconvenience. She's extremely sorry. She's very enthusiastic about metabolic and about having a forum devoted to this concept of interaction. So I hope that we can replace that through having very intense interactions amongst ourselves and debating on what this very concept is. She suggested me to show videos of conferences where she was explaining that. I think it's better that we enact that concept ourselves here.
So probably all of us have read something about Karen. I think it would be easy to bring her work into the discussion. So.
Yeah, but maybe in the first part, which will replace her keynote, we could start by debating on this concept and on what we think it might mean or how she has enacted it. Maybe that would be a first possible discussion. So do you want to...
We thought that instead of starting with the panelists, we would first we ask you to bring here some questions, some concepts or questions that we'd like to discuss among each other. And we have this board there, so we perhaps can start just writing them there, and then we start with the panels, and then we see how can we arrange things. Although we will go with the schedule more or less, but as we have this extra time to discuss, I think we can start with this dynamic.
Some partners are joining via Skype, so we will have telematic presences here in the conference. And I think in some discussion moments we could even sit all together here to avoid this power relation with the division of the people standing up here behind the table or sitting. So you...
I think the brainstorming is already there. I don't know how are we running with the time, but you control I think perhaps half of an hour of doing so is okay, or 15 minutes.
We could even ask you, would you prefer that we start like giving some inputs with the two first presentations and then... Oh, it has already started. So please, go ahead. If you have already some topics that you want to raise for the discussion, amongst those suggested for the conference, follow Isabel and write them down. And maybe present them to us or introduce them to us. And right after that, Kevin can start.
Yeah.
And then in the first, I suggest to devote the first spot to the issue of interaction anyway, since
Perhaps interaction another concept related, because it would be easier. And also we have to ask you, sorry. We have to ask you if you, it depends on how many people we are, but perhaps if we are so many people, the thing would be a bit difficult, so we can spare little groups, let's say 4 people, 5 or so, and then exchange, and then
yeah, I think that's always a possibility, or just remains a group. We can decide that. So, do you want to comment?
I just wanted to say that we could keep on with writing on the board already during the
presentation.
Comes to mind also.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So it's more performative. It's like everyone can, during the presentation, have a focus here with this light that has been provided gently. So how can subjective or bottom-up actions undermine the big data dominance?
Okay. There are several.
I'd like to bring up one.
This.
Do you want to bring up one?
I'll just say it because it's one that I've been thinking about for the last 2 years of this project. Is the irony that we're using technology to critique itself?
Yes.
Critical technology?
No, the irony. So Kevin suggests the irony of using technology
To criticize it.
to criticize it,
To critique itself.
to critique itself, which I would actually amplify the technology of language. We're all the time using the technology of language to criticize what we do with language, for example. That's also another technology, right? And in fact, this is a very recurrent topic in post-structuralism, as if this were a closed circuit from which we can never exit, which I disagree with. This would be an important discussion to have. So some people do believe that, okay, we are immersed in the closed circuit of language, and we can only criticize it from within, we can never go outside it. I will propose eventually a radical shift from that idea, also in relation to technology. Emergence.
Data, information, enhancement, performance.
Oh, this has only one surface, so we
Yeah,
have to...
so I think that we can take a picture of it, and, or if somebody is writing down.
We can also write it on we can also write it in the computer and to
It is a way of working.
So, could you turn it a bit towards here so that I can copy it to the pad? Or just...
Or I read it.
Yeah.
How can subjective bottom-up consumer actions undermine the big data dominance?
Okay.
Interaction, the irony of using technology to criticize itself. Emergence, data, information, enhancement, performance. I would add to this inaction too.
Inaction.
Inaction. Enhancement, performance, inaction, relation of generative, emerging, body, and human narratives.
Sorry, again that relation
of generative,
relation
hyphen emerging,
of generative
emerging body, and human narratives of belonging, mythologies, Mythologies, nationalism.
Mythologies and
Nationalism.
shamanism.
Nationalism.
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 Nationalism. I'm into shamanism so much.
Gender.
We can do that the same.
Gender also.
Nationalist shamanism.
And gender. That's
Okay, so let's have these for now.
gender. Down there. Gender.
Gender, I would add post-gender.
Queer.
Queer in control. Of course, our main topic of the forum in the US and Canada.
Post-gender, gender. Something else?
Technology, language.
Oh, technology. Techness. I think that if you put techness, it would be.
Discourse. Okay, we have a few things there, and this will keep growing.
I think that biometry is one of the topics.
Well, of course, I mean, yeah, there are main topics. We can remind you: ontology and history of big data and of data, ontology and history of biometrics, anti-biometrics and biometrics failure. Biometric hacking and big data hacking interaction, post-human performativity, which is linked to Karen Barrett's notion of interaction, post-human queerness, agential realism, another of the key concepts of Karen Barrett's interaction, interactive architecture, which is the main issue for Metabody, biometrics, big data, and ecology. So those were already proposed.
Could we add agency as such?
So, agency, and I would connect to that agential
realism,
which we can try to understand. I suggested in the spot of Karen Barrett's keynote, we can try to understand together what is meant by interaction, post-human performativity, agential realisms, which are interconnected. Okay.
I think we can start perhaps if, and then if something comes up after your talk, we can decide how